everybody. Welcome to News Busted. I'm Fraser Smith filling in for Jody. We didn't build this, but let's get started anyway. Last week, President Obama said if you've got a business, somebody else made that happen. And if you're a Democrat president who came out of nowhere, somebody else definitely made that happen.
And now, Useful Idiots. In the first of two programs, John Sweeney unpacks a phrase used to describe otherwise intelligent men and women who praise and therefore give credibility to tyrants and tyrannies.
The voice of Joseph Stalin, leader of the Soviet Union for 3 decades, psychopath, killer of millions, but to some at the time, nothing less than the saviour of humanity.
If you've been successful, you didn't get there on your own. You didn't get there on your own. I'm always struck by people who think, well, it must be because I was just so smart. There are a lot of smart people out there. It must be because I worked harder than everybody else. Let me tell you something. There are a whole bunch of hard-working people out there. If you were successful, somebody along the line gave you some help. There was a great teacher somewhere in your life. Somebody helped to create this unbelievable American system that we had that allowed you to thrive. Somebody invested in roads and bridges. If you got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen. The internet didn't get invented on its own. Government research created the internet, so then all the companies could make money off the internet.
Okay, Charles, let's start with that last statement.
Spoken by a man who never created or ran so much as a candy store. And it's completely a straw man argument, as if conservatives and Republicans are arguing to disband the fire department and the police department so we can all do it individually on our own. The idea that infrastructure is necessary and good is as old as the Republic. It's older than that. The Romans had the Via Appia, and that wasn't exactly a new idea. And they had sewers as well. The question is, what do you do with the money when you build the infrastructure? You heard Obama talking about the moonshot. This is not on that clip, but in that speech, he went through a list of the great achievements that the government has done, the moonshot. Well, Obama's the guy who shut down the moon program, the manned space program, so that today we have to outsource our access into space for any American astronaut who wants to go to the space station. We have to pay the Russian $50 million a shot. He spoke about the invention of the internet, which he neglected to say was the work of Al Gore. In fact, it wasn't the government that invented, or in general, it was the Defense Department, a part of the government. And what's Obama done is he sprinkled billions of dollars in all the other departments in government. He shrunk the Defense Department. It's now looking at draconian cuts. This is a man who spent $1 trillion and left not a residue. He could have, for example, done something about the electric grid. He did nothing on that. Instead, he sprinkled the money on cronies, on pie-in-the-sky ideological fetishes like solar panels and electric cars, which is the future, but it ain't here and it's not going to happen now. Money that is wasted, it's water on the sand. He did not leave behind a residue of all that, and yet he speaks about infrastructure. All of us want to do infrastructure, but real infrastructure, and then leave the rest of life to the private individual and the entrepreneur.
And now for something completely different.
Why is it we have so many millionaires and everything in the United States, and we still have so many impoverished people who try to get up into the world? Why is it we have this lack of money where people who can't support themselves decently and get a decent job, where all these big men are up on top making oodles and oodles of money? They don't need it. They can only eat that much, sleep in the bed.
And what do you suppose they do? If they don't eat it and don't use it, what do you suppose they do?
They hoard it.
And what do you mean they hoard it? You mean they put it under their pillows?
That's right. No, they keep investing it.
Investing it in what?
That's right, yeah.
What are they invested in?
Well, in oil and everything, where, I mean, all these other people who are
What are they invested in? Don't get off the subject.
No.
What are they invested in?
Well, they invested in a lot of different things that the little people need.
Well, do they invest it in factories?
Yes.
Does some of that money end up in machines?
Yes.
Do those factories and machines provide ordinary working people with jobs or not? What do you suppose the productivity of this country would be and of the wage rate would be if the total amount of capital in this country today was what it was 100 years ago? Where do you suppose the improvements in productivity come from except from the investment by people of their savings? But let me go to your fundamental question. First place, nirvana is not for this world. There is no paradise. Of course we've got a lot of people who are poorly off, but if you look at it over time, if you get a sense of proportion, the well-being of ordinary people has been the main thing that has been improved by economic progress and economic growth and development. And most residual hard cases of poverty today are the result, again, of a failure of government. Why do we have a black teenage unemployment rate in 30 to 40%? Because of two failures of government. One, a failure to provide decent schooling, which is a governmental responsibility. Has been, whether it should be or not, it has been. And second, because of a minimum wage rate, which prevents those kids who haven't had decent schooling from getting jobs at low pay at which they can earn the skills on the jobs that would enable them to rise to higher pay. If you look at the sources of poverty, you will find most of them are derived from what I regard as wrong-headed government policy.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. This is the online, on-demand Fastener Talk radio show that covers all things predominantly fastener-related. So if you're into that sort of thing, I guess you hit pay dirt. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Eric Dudas here, and the co-host of Fully Threaded Radio is here with me. He's the always enlightening and entertaining Mr. Brian Musker.
Hi, folks. Just preparing to be enlightening and entertaining again.
Well, it's good to be back online for another episode, huh? We have this kind of drawn-out schedule for the summer.
Right. And you sort of get out of the swing of it, actually. But then we do have other stuff on, though.
Yep. And we have some big pieces of news and breaking stories for you on this episode today, folks, along with some really great guests. And before we get to all of that, I want to point out that a couple of our heroes had birthdays recently, and we played a few tidbits from both of them during the opening montage of the show today. One of them was the late, great Dr. Milton Friedman, and he would have been 100 years old on July 31st, Bri. Man, we could use him around today, don't you think?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Especially since he was one of the Chicago boys, too.
Oh, definitely. There was a piece in the Wall Street Journal that was talking about him as a professor at the University of Chicago. And, of course, our current president had a little bit to do with the UFC, and what a pity that it didn't rub off on him. But there were several great pieces out there, some in the Wall Street Journal, theblaze.com. I've put a couple of links on the Fully Threaded Radio Facebook page. I hope folks will take a look at that, because anything you can absorb by Milton Friedman, I think, is very, very helpful, especially in today's world.
Of course, there's quite a lot of things that did not rub off on our current president from his time at University of Chicago. common sense, good thinking, civility. Think of a few.
Yeah, and I tell you, one of the problems with only doing the podcast every few weeks like this is that we run the risk of running with some stale news occasionally. But I got to tell you, regarding this whole "you didn't build that" affair, from our president, I'm so profoundly insulted by this whole thing that we're keeping it front and center, even though it's old news by now.
I mean, yeah, they didn't build that. Okay.
I mean, if you needed any more evidence what the current president thinks of business and business owners, there it is, folks. That should be all you really need to understand about this guy.
Yeah, if I had an axe, I would have gone right through my TV. I was so annoyed.
Well, people haven't stopped talking about it, and it's got a lot of people upset, and that includes within the fastener industry. We're just going to keep on harping on it because it's that important in our opinion. But there's a lot of good fastener information to share with you, so we should probably get this show rolling. What do you think?
Right.
Well, if you support this president and you didn't build that, or if you support individual liberty and prosperity, either way, we're glad you clicked in for episode 49 of Fully Threaded Radio, folks. We're publishing on August 9th, 2012. Our feature segment today is a conversation with Don Solution Man Shan of Solution Industries. Don is a little bit of an unorthodox thinker in the fastener industry, and after you hear this segment, I think you'll understand why. Among other things, he likens the early days of Solution Industries to the proverbial Seinfeld show, quote, "the show about nothing." I think you'll find this really entertaining.
You mean all the very early days of Fasteners Clearinghouse when people would call us and say, "Now, you got fasteners there?" And we'd look around our desks and think, "No, actually we don't." Our members have them, but we don't have them.
Yes, the parallel didn't escape me either. On Mike McNulty's Fastener News Report, we'll hear the top headlines of the day and also the shocking results of the July FDI survey. If you haven't yet heard, Mike will have Holden Lewis of BB&T Capital Markets on to explain what happened in July that has people buzzing. And to get things started, we'll hear from NFDA President Jay Queenin. He's just back from Taiwan, and he has a few comments about what he saw over there and also what he's hearing from the EFDA, the European Fastener Distributor Association, and how the tides have shifted. He also has an update about what's happening at the NFDA and their fall conference plans. I tell you, the NFDA is on the move, and for all of you who are members or who are considering becoming members, you won't want to miss Jay, and he'll be here in just a few minutes. The title sponsors on today's episode of Fully Threaded Radio are Stelfast. For service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stelfast. And Beacon Fasteners and Components. Beacon Fasteners, nice threads. I want to mention before we move on that we received good news from Stelfast. They've renewed with us, and they'll be our title sponsor for the coming season of Fully Threaded Radio, and we sure do appreciate the support.
Cool. Very good.
Yep. Hey, everybody, feel free to drop us a line anytime. You can do that in a number of ways. The email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. We're also out there on Twitter under the handle Fully Threaded, and the Facebook page, which we mentioned for Fully Threaded Radio, has a whole bunch of follow-up links, and I hope you cruise out there. You know, we were talking about this earlier today, Brian. We've kind of topped out, it looks like, at only 95 likes. I know there's a whole lot more Fully Threaded listeners out there. I don't know if they're just not using Facebook or what, but if you are a Facebook person, get out there to our page, like us. I think something magical is supposed to happen at 100 likes, right?
Right. I don't know what the magical thing is, but I've been sort of watching this counter tick up, and so folks, please go out there and say like this if you haven't done already, because something alters in your account.
Yeah, I really kind of hate having to ask for likes because, I don't really buy into it. But, man, I'm really getting curious.
Right, yeah, it's like groveling in a way, isn't it? It's the technology version of groveling.
We're also both out on LinkedIn under our respective names. And I wanted to point out that when we started the podcast, we had Janice Cerisa on one of the early episodes. We were talking about the Fastener Industry Group on LinkedIn, and they had, I think it was something like 1,500 or 1,800 users. They've got a little over 9,200 members in the Fastener Industry Group on LinkedIn now, Brian.
Yeah, wow, that's a lot, actually.
Uh-huh. So get with us any one of those ways, folks. We always enjoy talking with you, and we normally reply. Hey, we're the folks who bring you fastenersclearinghouse.com. It's the FCH sourcing network. I hope you're all out there using the network whenever the need comes up. If you're looking for a hard-to-find part, there's no charge to use the network. It's at www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. Get out there. There's just approaching 750,000 lines out there at this point, and we're sure glad to have you out there. If you have inventory to move, we can certainly drive sales your way. There's a link on the website. It's called Join the Network. All the details of our program are listed out there. Take a look. Give us a call. We'd be happy to talk to you about that. Again, it's at fastenersclearinghouse.com.
And at the moment, and for the past few years, it's sort of relatively simple. You just have to be able to create a spreadsheet, usually export it out of your ERP system. And then that spreadsheet, even given terrible descriptions, passes through our scrubber, and we are able to load them up on our site so that you don't have to do anything other than just make a spreadsheet. And it's very rarely that the descriptions that you have are so bad that the scrubber can't deal with them. So it's all quite easy. Don't sit around like some people we talk to. They've been working on a spreadsheet for 4 years, okay? It just doesn't take that long.
And I mentioned at the top of the show that we've got a few pieces of big news. One of them is going to be coming up at the Fastener News Report, but another one we can kind of reveal right now, and that is that we at Fasteners Clearinghouse have been working with several of the large ERP vendors or the big software platform vendors to create interfaces between FCH and those platforms. We have a couple of them currently in prototype phase right now, and we're really excited about it. We're going to be kind of launching this formally at the Vegas show coming up in October. But right now, if you're a user of Business Edge software, Distribution One, InSQL software, and you're interested in what we're describing here, get with us, because right now we've got an automated interface that'll make your life a whole lot easier when it comes to getting your inventory listed up on the FCH network.
Actually, it's a little more than that, because we've had that working with InSQL really was working for about 2 years ago, I think, and it worked very successfully. The problem that we've had, and I guess any site, everyone knows it, is that encouraging people to keep their inventory current. In other words, it's all very well if you have 10,000 line items of some item today, but if you sell 9,000 of them, then how do we get the fact on our site reflected you've only got 1,000 lines left? And so what we've really wanted to do is to get some mechanism whereby a company can make sure that its inventory is relatively correct all the time in our site. And so our design with the interface to Business Edge and SQL and Distribution One is to make it easy for a person to make sure that their inventory stays current. And all they have to do is push a button, okay? Once it's been sent to us, the ERP system will maintain the correct figures from then on, okay? The result is that it's going to be really easy. You don't have to make a spreadsheet. You just simply select your inventory in the different systems in different ways and just click a button that says transfer this to FCH.
And the interface concept has benefits on both sides. As you just described, Ryan, it makes it easier for companies to get their inventory listed and up on FCH. On the other side of the coin, it increases the odds that the inventory listings that you're seeing when you're searching FCH are accurate and they're fresh and they're current. And that's been something that we've been striving to improve. And everybody knows that's definitely an important aspect of it all. So this is going to go a long way. I'll also mention for you Profit 21 users out there, there is a development effort underway. I've discussed this over the years with several of you, and it is coming. We're not as far along as we are with some of the other platforms. It's a little bit of a larger company. Things move a little slower over there, but hang tough. And I think in the very near future, you're going to see all of these platforms linked in FCH, and this is only the beginning because we have big plans for this, folks.
Right.
we'll have a lot more to say about this in upcoming episodes, and we can talk to you about it extensively at the Vegas show.
And, you know, J.R. Pryle will be very glad to hear of this because they use Business Edge over at JHP Fasteners.
Yes, they do. And I think you're right. We'll probably be hearing from him. You know, speaking of JR, he was good enough last year to turn us on to the FabTech show. It was being held in Chicago last year. I got the information for this year's FabTech, and folks, if you're not familiar with this show, it's billed as the one event to see, the most spectacular metal fabrication technology. And this year it's being held out in Vegas, and I know a lot of folks are heading out in October, but this is being held November 12th through the 14th, and it's at the Las Vegas Convention Center. And the reason I bring it up is because, I tell you, it's not super fastener-centric, although there are several fastener companies that are going to be there, including Fastenal. Fastrite was there last year. We saw Mike Henry out there.
And J.R. Prowell.
And J.R. Prowell, too, yes, although right. It was not JHP. I can't remember what their arrangement was. They were there with another company, but it's just so amazing, the array of fabricating equipment out there, the welding stuff, the cutting tools. It's just amazing. And this year they have an expanded plating pavilion, I think they're calling it. So I think the secondary processing people will probably be pretty interested in this show as well. It's well worth a look. The website for it is fabtechexpo.com. I don't really have a dog in this race, but you know, it was just such a mind blower for me last year. I kind of wish that it was in Chicago again.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, it's if you're even faintly interested in building things, and if you're in the fastener industry, you're in one major part of building things. This covers a different part of building things, but it's just amazing to watch all this equipment working away, and it's great to see actually. This is what America became famous for 100 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, and guess who built all this stuff?
The government. Yeah, they didn't build that. They didn't build the railways. No. Yeah, the government put all the railways in. Oh, no, perhaps it wasn't the government after all.
Yeah. It makes it really sick to your stomach. Well, there's another show that we should probably announce, and this one is one that a lot of you probably haven't heard about yet, and it's from the folks at Mack Brooks. They're pretty much taking over the planet outside of the U.S. in terms of fastener shows. They announced that they've got the Fastener Fair China 2013 coming up, and that's taking place at the Suzhou International Expo Center. That's May 14th through the 16th, 2013. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Brian. Suzhou? Is that?
No, I don't know how to pronounce it, but your mate Rob would know.
Actually, I think it's Suzhou. That's probably how it is. Well, it's just to the west of Shanghai, so it's right there in that super industrialized area. I think it's like the second largest city, and it's just a tremendous industrial area. And the show, I think, is probably destined for greatness because, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of action happening over there.
Right.
It says the show's being co-located with Blech China, which is an international sheet metal technology event. I'm not sure exactly anything beyond that, but you can get details if you're interested, for those of you who are traveling over to Asia frequently, at macbrooks.com. And one of these years we're going to get over there, Bri. I don't know when it'll be, but we'll make it.
Yeah, the show it'll be on for a while, I think.
So that's the latest show in China, again being put on by Mack Brooks. And, you know, for more on what's going on in the scene in Asia, we're going to talk with somebody now who just returned from Taiwan and hear what's going on over there. Jay Queenin, he's the president of Specialty Bolt and Screw and also the president of the NFDA. Jay, how are you?
Eric, I've been doing great. You know, I think the highlight of my trip was when I received a phone call from you at 2:30 in the morning. So I really appreciate that.
Sorry about that.
Right. Yeah, you need to get used to those, okay?
Yeah, I know. I just didn't expect to hear from Eric that late. So I was a little bit startled, but it's always good to talk to you, Eric. It's always good to talk to you.
So what did you see over there? What were you doing?
Well, you know, back in 2011, Specialty Bolt, set up a company over in Taiwan. So So unfortunately, I picked probably the hottest time of the year to go over there and just kind of coordinate some activities. So we had a great trip. But next time, I think I'm going to go sometime in the winter. Summer's a little too hot for me. But overall, I mean, it was very interesting. I mean, I had the opportunity to sit down with a number of vendors, that we've been doing business with for years, and I was very surprised at the feedback that I was getting. They were all telling me that it was as bad as it was in 2008.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was. So it's an interesting business environment over there. I think that what they were telling me was that back in 2008, Europe was relatively steady. Europe was relatively steady economically, but the U.S. was really falling. So their orders were way down. They said that they're experiencing the exact opposite situation today, with Europe really, really struggling and the U.S. remaining steady. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But as I returned, it definitely is a different economic picture globally than I thought.
Right. Well, I'm sure you didn't have a chance yet to see the new FDI number because we had just published it just before we'd actually called, and we're definitely seeing a slowdown too in that number. So, yeah. Well, it was hot in Taiwan, but it's cooling down business-wise just a little bit, it seems.
Oh, absolutely. But there is some good stuff happening. I know that you spoke about the China show before. But I know that we're all looking forward to attending the Kaohsiung show. Actually, it's in Tainan this year. I know the TFTA is going to be putting on a conference April 11th to the 13th of 2013. So I know the NFTA will be, as always, coordinating activities with the TFTA and the EFTA, and the show looks to be a good show as well this year.
Well, it's good to know. Now, last time we talked in depth, it was just after the NFDA conference, and of course there was big changes that were announced then. What have you been up to since then, Jay?
Well, it's been kind of a crazy spring. I think a couple days after we spoke, I had the opportunity to present in front of the EFTA, the European Fastener Distributor Association. That took place in early May. They just put on a great event, and obviously Paris in the spring doesn't hurt it. We had a great time. We had a great time, but it's interesting because we, as I said, the feedback I received in Taiwan, I mean, it was very interesting to hear what the Europeans were saying. Americans by nature are always optimistic. So I sat through 2 days of events where they were just talking about how bad the economy was over in Europe. So I get up and start talking from the American perspective, and it was just very, very different. We seem to be, not growing rapidly, but at least remaining steady. But the news out of the EFTA conference was very poor. But I think that just the organization there, they elected a new leader, Mr. Lederer, who I think will take the organization in a good direction. They also brought in a new management team similar to the NFTA. So, the NFTA will continue to coordinate efforts with the Europeans and the Asians, as we go forward over the course of the next couple of years.
What's the tenure of the president of the EFTA? That was Jeff Hopwood previously, correct?
Jeff Hopwood was the president previously. And I believe he retired. And Mr. Staff took over, for a couple of months while they did the elections. So, to be honest with you, I don't know what the term is. I know their term probably runs a couple of years. It's not quite as 1 year in, 1 year out like the NFTA.
Okay. And what's coming down the road then, Jay?
Well, I know we have a busy fall. Just before we get to the NFTA business, I just want to touch upon a couple of events that we'll be participating in. First of all, we're looking forward. Vicki Lester, who is now our new executive director, and I will be participating in the ISI event, which is coming up September 29th here in Boston. Luckily for me, it's only an hour down the street. So we're looking forward to spending some time with Dave Monty and his group. Again, as we try to build alliances, at the NFTA. Following that, the NFTA will be participating in Las Vegas show. That's a great show. It brings everybody in the fastener industry together. We will be located in booth 1803. And as I said before, when we spoke in May. Feel free to come by and have a beer with us. We have made the arrangements, so it should be a good time. And we look forward to reconnecting with a lot of people in the fastener industry.
I think that news was very well received.
Yeah, good. So following that, the NFTA will be holding its fall meeting on November 7th and 8th at the Hilton Scottsdale Resort. We'll spend more time talking about that in a couple minutes, but I just wanted to say that I just want to thank Russ Doran at the PacWest and the entire board. We're looking forward to co-locating our event with them this November. They've been gracious enough to allow us to do that. Even though we're going to be having our separate meetings because we have some business to take care of on the NFTA side, it's just kind of a new format for us. We're going to be co-locating some events. We're going to be doing some great activities together. So we look forward to being in Scottsdale in November. And we encourage everybody who is able to attend that event.
Well, that cross-pollination seems like a really smart idea. And then there are some other ways that this NFDA meeting is going to be unlike some of the previous ones as well, though, too, right?
Yeah, I think that let me just take a step back and tell you what's happened, on a high level with NFDA over the last couple months. We did make the transition away from Smith Buckland, to Lester Management Services back in May, but it did take us about 3 months. We were amazed at how difficult it was to transition an organization from one management firm to another. While there's been a lot of excitement, and enthusiasm, over the new direction we're going, we didn't expect it to take that amount of time. But that being said, we're now in a position where Vicki is now leading our association. And I will say, after working with her for only a couple months now, she is incredible. She brings a lot of energy, a lot of great ideas to the table as the NFTA moves forward. But what we did was we began a process to kind of set our strategic direction for many years to come. And the process is currently in place, and we'll be going through November of this year. But what we did was we really set up 4 task forces around priorities that the board has established, and these are things that we spoke about before, and things that we've shared with our association. And so the first task force we set up was focusing on membership, because really, our association is only as strong as our members. And what we're trying to do is figure out ways to recruit new members and retain our existing members. And that task force is being led by a great guy many people know, Tom Bundebaum. And Tom just brings a level of energy that is unmatched on our board, and I think he's going to be doing a great job working with that task force. The second task force we have is really looking at what benefits we can provide to our members. Obviously there's a fee associated with belonging to any membership group, and we have to make sure that we return value to our members. So heading that task force is Sarah Mallow. She most of the people in the industry know her. She equally brings a lot of energy to the table.
Sarah with the rotor clip.
Yeah, Sarah with the rotor clip. What she has experience working with other associations, in other industries. So, as we go forward, she's going to be spearheading that effort. The third group is really focused on alliances. And we came to the table with one principle, and that is, the fastener industry will be stronger if we all work together. And for NFDA, we're willing to put everything on the table. Nothing is sacred to us. We really want to try to work with the regional associations, the IFI, and any other association that's involved in the fastener industry to make sure that our industry is strengthened. I think that we started and took the first step with PacWest back in May by deciding to co-locate our event in Scottsdale with them, and I think that is going to be kind of the first step in what I hope are many steps towards working together and consolidating ourselves around the goals that are important in our industry. And then finally, the fourth task force we have going is really looking at public policy. There's a lot more we can do on the national level to help our members, and to work with our elected officials to influence policy. That's going to be driven by Steen Hansen of Bassard. I think Steen brings a vast knowledge of this issue, to the table already. And I think, as I said before, we have a tendency to focus on issues like anti-dumping, but there are so many issues out there that impact business, healthcare, business regulation, labor laws, and many others. So what we did was we began the process, and these task forces are meeting. I think they're going to do 2 or 3 conference calls over in the end of August, early September. We encourage everybody out there who has any interest in helping us out and volunteering, to contact Vicki. Vicki can be reached at 877-487-6332, or you can email her at vlester, Lester, @nfda.fasteners.org. And all that's required is, participation in a couple conference calls, try to come up with some great ideas working with other members of the industry. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get together as a group in November, and we actually hired a facilitator to come in and help us work together. So each of the task forces is going to be presenting a number of different ideas to the group at large. And what we hope to happen is that we will be able to develop a blueprint for our future, and then we will be able to execute. So there's a lot of activity going on. We really need some help. If you have any great ideas that we should look at, I highly encourage you to participate in these task forces. And, hopefully you'll be able to join us November 7th and 8th in Scottsdale as we roll up our sleeves and really just develop that blueprint that's going to take us into the future.
Well, there was a heck of a lot of energy in that spring conference, and it sounds like it's going to carry forward to the fall. And you guys at the NFDA, you've got a head of steam, and I'm encouraged by everything you've just said.
Well, thank you. I mean, and we, Eric, we appreciate everything you're doing for the industry as well. I mean, I look at, all the stuff that you generate, and, this is really unique. And, we often sit around and talk about how much energy you bring, and, you're doing the same thing, and you're doing great things for our industry as well. So we all appreciate that.
Well, Brian and I are very grateful for comments like that anytime we can get them, believe me.
You want to continue on that vein?
Well, having said everything that you just did, I just have to ask, any word for what's going to happen for the spring meeting of 2013? Is there going to be an announcement on that?
Yeah, we're actually going to do things a little bit differently this year. It's not finalized, and I did commit to having the details ready for Las Vegas, but I think we're going to do our meeting a little earlier this year. Preliminarily, we have the meeting set for February. So what we'll do is it's a little bit different than the past, where we always did it in late March or early April. So I just wanted to give everyone some notice that the meeting will be February, in a week to be determined. So as soon as I have more details, I'll be sharing them with all of our membership. And but it is a little bit of a change.
Got it. Sounds like you're targeting that winter getaway set a little bit.
Yeah, you could say that. That.
Yeah, so the heat in Taiwan really was too much for you.
It was way too much for me. Way too much for me. So, but I will be needing some heat in February because I'm a northeastern guy. So we look forward to having our meeting in February, and again, just getting together, and that's what the NFDA does. We bring leaders in the fastener industry together, and we hope to continue to do that for many, many years to come.
Well, Jay Queenin, it sounds like you're on a roll, and we're going to be rooting for you and doing everything we can to pitch in. Sure to appreciate you joining us. You're the president of the NFDA and Specialty Bolt and Screw. Thanks once more, Jay.
Brian, Eric, I appreciate the time, and look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks a lot.
Right, it's our pleasure.
Once you're in this industry, you're not getting out. Good thing there's Fully Threaded Radio. Talk radio for the fastener industry.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stelfast. Since 1976, Stelfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001 2008 certifications ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stelfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stelfast today through our website at www.stelfast.com and put us to work for you. Stelfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
It's a screwy world out there, what with outsourcing, celebrity apprentices, crop circles, Biebers, Gagas, those shorts that are almost pants, and mimes. But when you think about it, saying the world is screwy is just unfair to screws, which ironically are what hold the whole world together. And the finest screws out there are supplied by Beacon Fasteners and Components. We can say that because our products are laboratory tested. Twice. Beacon Fasteners and Components also has the largest inventory in the industry, including thread forming, thread cutting, high-low tapping, SEMS, sheet metal, and our new machine screws. And they're all available RoHS compliant. Give Beacon a call today and one of our knowledgeable sales staff will guide you through the ordering process. Then we'll track your shipment, which is one less screwy little detail for you to worry about. Visit us at beaconfasteners.com. It's a screwy world, but Beacon is on top of it.
Hello, my name is Anne-Marie Hoftailing with the Hoftailing Group, and I am pleased this year to be working with PacWest Fastener Association to help its members have its best business year ever. My company is focused on sales and business development, and together we're going to help the PacWest Association members increase their bottom line through unique workshops, webinars, and yes, even some private consulting time. So make sure that you're engaging your membership benefits. Come to the events, enjoy the workshops, log on to the webinars, and give me a call, because this year we're going to make sure you have the most powerful sales force you've ever had.
Hi, this is Dennis Cowie from Computer Insights, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, your Chick-fil-A and fastener-loving hosts, back with you on Fully Threaded.
Right.
Hey, we've got the Fastener News Report coming straight ahead, folks. And that's brought to you today by Volt Industrial Plastics and Fastener Technology International Magazine, which is a truly fine publication, and you should all be reading it.
It's true.
One of the other great magazines for the industry, of course, is Link Magazine. And I wanted to mention this last episode. I completely forgot about it, but I got the biggest charge out of the cover feature on the current issue of Link Magazine. Did you see this, Bri?
Yes, I did. Actually, I was looking at it for two reasons. One, because it's sort of an interesting web technology that they use for their magazine. I mean, there have been a few around for a while. This one actually isn't bad.
Oh, you mean the online version?
Yeah. And but you're talking about this thing, the high torque nut.
Right.
Yeah, it looks sort of interesting. I mean, I don't really know anything about it, but it looks sort of interesting, and it seems to solve a problem. We'll wait for some of our, friends in the industry to tell us what it really does, and does it work?
Well, the headline on the cover of the current Link magazine says, "The new industrial fastener that is replacing heavy hex nuts on critical applications." And it's got this very mysterious, looks like a shrouded in a crimson silk cloth, and what I really got a kick out of was the way that it has been promoted in the magazine. I mean, technically, I'm sure this is a wonderful product. I'm looking at it kind of from the standpoint of how are they promoting in the magazine. And if you look, they've got these different pages throughout the issue, and they've got some case studies in there, and just some general fact stuff, and they've got it salted throughout the issue. This seems like a really first-class way to get a message out.
Yeah, it is. It looks pretty good.
You know, looking at this thing, it also reminds me that we have our tickets for the Penn and Teller show when we're out in Vegas, Bry.
What suddenly reminded you of that? A picture of a bolt under a silk cloth?
Yeah, well, it looks like a magic trick, you know?
Thinking of they're going to bring a rabbit out of it.
Oh, well, I don't know. Or maybe a whole bunch of hex bolts, you know, who knows? Right. Penn and Teller, they've got a pretty big bag of tricks, so.
Yeah.
But it should be a great show. And speaking of shows, we'd better get this one going right now. And before we do, let's thank our title sponsors on today's episode, and they are Stelfast and Beacon Fasteners and Components. Thanks also to each and every one of you for clicking into Fully Threaded Radio today and for sharing the program with your friends and coworkers. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Here's the Fastener News Report.
Thanks, Brian and Eric, and greetings to all the Fully Threaded Radio listeners out there. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. Well, in addition to the fastener industry, I like to follow sports at all levels. And this month, I was treated to a couple of billion-dollar stories. The big money dramas were the $1 billion NBC spent and made on the Olympics, and the $1 billion price tag that was paid to buy the lowly Cleveland Browns football team. The good news here for fastener folks is that Olympic and football stadiums literally need tons of fasteners. So the next time you're watching a race or game, remember to focus some of your thoughts on the fasteners that are supporting your favorite sports teams. In today's top story, we're going to get the results of the Fastener Distributor Index for July. In addition, we have some newsmaker headlines from Elgin Fastener Group, Precision Cast Parts, Stanley Black & Decker, Sundrum, Trimass, and Fastenal. We also have a short history lesson on the back page, as well as details on a banned fastener. We will get to all of that and the Fastener Distributor Index results for July right after this.
Volt Industrial Plastics is the source for all your high-quality plastic fastener needs, and customer service is their #1 priority. With almost 1 million fasteners in stock and same-day shipping on stock items, Volt Industrial Plastics carries inventory so you don't have to. Volt manufactures everything in-house from over 125 different materials, and they're proud to say 100% of their products are American-made. And of course, custom tooling and in-house bagging is available. Contact Volt online at www.voltplastics.com. Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting fastenal.com today.
Mike McNulty. Mike McNulty. Focused, focused, focused.
Building on a poor showing in June, the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as FDI, took a relative nosedive in July. FDI data is collected and analyzed by BB&T Capital Markets and the FCH Sourcing Network, and it seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener industry. To get the story on what is really happening in fastener distribution, we talked to Holden Lewis of BB&T Capital Markets. Hi, Holden. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Hey, Mike. It's good to be back, as always. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. Okay, so the FDI took another turn for the worse in July. So what's happening out there?
Well, it did. And for those who haven't seen the number, the July number came in at 45.1. And for anybody that watches this, anything under 50 signals contraction, anything above 50 signals expansion. This is the first move of the index below 50, which is obviously not a good sign, but it's something that it feels like it's kind of been building up. I think if you track the distributors enough, it felt like May perhaps stepped down a little bit, and then June kind of continued that trend, and July continued that trend, and that's something that we've heard tonally from other distributors. But we've also seen it out of some of the national indices, right? I mean, the National Purchasing Managers Index is also slightly below 50 at this point. And so what the FDI is signaling is really two things. First, that current conditions feel a little bit softer than they did even a month ago or 2 months ago. And we're really seeing that in the sales component of our index, which was actually around 38, so quite a bit worse than the broader number. But it's also signaling, generally speaking, some rising pessimism. The outlook statement was not as positive this month, or actually was far less positive this month than it was even last month, which wasn't a good one. Only 18% of respondents expect activity higher 6 months from now, and that is the lowest that we've had as we've been doing the survey this year. So, I think looking at the current environment, the reading we're getting from the FDI, the reading that we're getting from the sales component of the FDI, and the outlook statement, certainly on the surface of it, none of that looks particularly good.
Right. And just to remind folks that the June number was over. It was 51.6, I believe. And
that is correct.
And with this number here, I mean, I calculate that to about a 12% drop from June. So it is a big drop, and like you said, the first time under 50.
It is the first time under 50. It is. I think your point about the 12% drop. I think really the key takeaway there is it was a noticeable decline. I'm not sure that we can sort of look at the 12% and read much into that, but the fact that it's sort of come from 56 to 51 to 45. Clearly a lot of the respondents to this survey have been seeing a more cautious environment the last couple of months than they'd originally expected. Now, one thing that I will say about these diffusion indices is typically they're a bit forward-looking. So even though we're sort of asking people about their experiences this month, typically they're more of a signal than anything else. And so it wouldn't surprise me if folks are saying, you know what, this doesn't feel like it's a recessionary environment to me at this point. It just feels like it's slower. That doesn't surprise me. And what that means is there's also the potential for perhaps some conditions to perhaps change more favorable, less favorably in coming months, but it tends to be a little bit of a leader rather than something that says this is what you're feeling today.
Right. Now, you had mentioned the sales component was the big mover here, and let's just summarize. What are for the people that are new to the audience, new to the Fastener Distributor Index? What are the four components that are used in the FDI?
We ask people how their sales performed relative to what they would have expected them to do. So that seems like a reasonably straightforward reading. We also use employment, asking folks what their plans are for employment, whether they expect that to be up, down, sort of the same. And then we use supplier deliveries on the premise that if supplier deliveries are speeding up, as they did this month, it's suggesting that there's more capacity available to get product out faster. And vice versa, when it's slowing down, it's meaning that things are tight and it's harder and harder to sort of get into queue, if you will, to get your deliveries on a more timely basis. And as I said, we saw that speed up. And then we also used we used customer inventories, which weren't that notable in the month for their movement, but we just want to know where our customer inventories are. Are they too lean? In which case, that tells us that they haven't been spending but could down the road, or vice versa. And those are the four subcomponents that we ask people about, get responses to, and sort of glom together into our broader FDI index.
Very good. Now, is there anything that we could categorize as a bright spot in the July results?
Well, there's one thing I think you can point to is simply pricing. You really haven't seen pricing back up at all. I think that we are seeing indications that there's no fresh pricing to be had at this point, and I'm not sure that should be a surprise to anybody. And what we're seeing is that more and more people are perhaps suggesting that annual price increases are not what they were maybe 4 or 5 months ago, simply as they're anniversarying some previous price increases. So all that's a way to say that pricing's not going negative, but it seems to be trending more towards zero at this point. But I would say that price is relatively stable. I would also say, and this really connects to my comment before, that this being a bit of a leading insight, it gives you time to assess other variables. We've just come out of what we call our earnings season, which is where all of our companies come up with their quarterly confessions. And, a couple things, I guess the main takeaways that we took away from demand was, first off, for the most part, people are not calling North America a problem market. Has it slowed a little bit? I think the sentiment certainly is that it has. But, we aren't talking about a rapidly downward cascading market at this point. It seems to be backing up, but it's still growing. Europe obviously is problematic. We had some respondents actually comment on that. But perhaps the real sort of glimmer of hope is that we've had several companies that I deal with suggest that even though in Asia the Chinese demand is down year over year, the last couple of quarters they've been seeing sequential order rates begin to pick up. And, what I think would be interesting, an interesting potential scenario would be, does the U.S. deal with the fiscal cliff issues, probably by punting it further into the future, but that would probably be perceived as a positive in the markets. Does China re-stimulate its economy, which are some signs maybe that's happening? That would probably help confidence, might even shore up Germany. And then you have a scenario where you're sort of playing out the last 12 to 15 months of activity, where you had a weak end of 11, a strong beginning of 12, a little bit of weakening here at this point in 12. Do we start to see some of the government actions begin to sort of pick up a little bit here in the near term, and really sort of cement the idea that we're going to muddle through rather than see a major decline? That's there's a lot of what ifs in that statement. But coming out of earnings season, whereas I felt like the earnings performances were not as good as I thought they could have been or would have been, there were a few signals that maybe we could be seeing a few things shift a little bit more favorably. If that can improve sentiment, that would be a good thing. But that's something that we're going to have to take a couple more months to sort of digest and watch at this point.
Well, maybe one way to look at it would be that we hit a crest of a wave, positive wave, and maybe we've got some more waves coming behind it that are strong.
Maybe, and I got to tell you, from a Wall Streeter perspective, we prefer trends. But I think at this point, most people would be reasonably pleased with muddling through, and that does appear to still be the more likely scenario.
Yeah, because waves can get a little too big, maybe and turn into a storm. But are you interested in making any predictions for August?
Boy, month-to-month predictions, that's a dangerous game. But the only thing that I will say is we've had some difficult readings out of the distributors for the past couple of months, I felt. And in the July, one of the things that'll be interesting to uncover about the July reading is how much did the 4th of July holiday and the timing of that holiday impact the July number. And there's some anecdotes out there that it was probably impactful on some level. Now, I'd like to think that by the time we got to the end of the month, people had sort of gotten control of sort of their thoughts around that. But, I would not be surprised after a few months of deceleration. I wouldn't be surprised if August is a little bit better, simply as we get into a sort of a month that is unscarred by holiday, and we get a full month of work in. I wouldn't be surprised if the August month is a little bit better, but you know what? The respondents to the survey are ultimately going to tell me more than I can tell you right now.
Right, and then it seems like people getting back to work here from holidays in the United States, but the Europeans, a lot of them are on their 3 to 4 week summer vacation for the month of August.
Well, that's true. That's true. But the survey, I think, addresses typically the North American markets. And I'm not sure. The companies that I track, clearly their European results will tend to be weak because of that. But the North American business, I wouldn't necessarily expect that to be a complicating factor in the survey when we get the responses for August.
Right, and that gets us back on maybe on a head start on everybody else. Okay, well, good. Holden, we appreciate you coming on the program, and thanks always again for your insight. And I want to remind the listeners that Holden's latest column on the FDI can be found in the August issue of Fastener Technology International magazine, which goes online and into the mail at the end of next week. Thanks again, Holden.
Thanks a lot, Mike. I'll speak to you next month.
Okay, that was Holden Lewis of BB&T Capital Markets. Next up, today's top Fastener newsmaker headlines. Elgin Fastener Group has appointed Javier Martinez to the position of Director of Information Technology. Martinez will report to EFG's Chief Financial Officer, Ian McKenna. Precision Cast Parts Corporation is acquiring certain aerostructures business units and McSwain Manufacturing from Hero DevTech Incorporated. The aerostructures businesses will be part of PCC's Fastener Products business segment, and McSwain will become part of PCC's Forged Products division. Stanley Black & Decker is buying Infastech, a Hong Kong-based manufacturer and distributor of specially engineered fasteners. Stanley is acquiring Infastech from CVC Capital Partners and Standard Chartered Private Equity Limited for $850 million in cash. Sundram Fasteners Limited in India entered into a 50-50 joint venture with Wolfgang Walter Naumann of Germany to set up a plant to make fasteners for wind energy generators. The initial investment was reported at €3 million. Trimas Corporation entered into an agreement to acquire Cefal in Brazil, and it has acquired Trailcom Limited in New Zealand for $23 million in cash, with the potential for additional payments based on future operating results. Cefal makes specialty fasteners and stud bolts primary for use in the oil and gas industry, and Trailcom is a distributor of towing accessories and trailer components. And our top newsmaker headline is that Fastenal has a new president and 3 new executive vice presidents. Former executive VP of sales Leland Hind is succeeding Will Overton, who will stay on as CEO to mentor the 51-year-old Hind. Hind started at Fastenal in 1985. 3 other Fastenal employees were elected to the executive vice president position by the board: Nicholas Lundquist in operations, Kenneth Nance in Eastern Regional Sales, and Gary Polipnik in Western Regional Sales. Fastenal's latest quarterly results were really good, especially when compared to last year's values. In 2012, sales increased 17% to nearly $1.6 billion, and the company's net income rose 22% to more than $200 million. Finally, let's turn to the back page for a brief history lesson and news on a banned fastener. In school, history was not one of my favorite subjects until I had a teacher who was good at telling stories. Now I enjoy the subject, and I know that it is useful for analyzing current situations. While hearing the recent Supreme Court decision on Obamacare, as well as digesting statements and actions by our politicians and media experts on this and many other government subjects, I decided to give myself a quick refresher course on the history of the federal government in the United States of America. In short, here's what we know. The United States of America is a constitutional republic in which the elected head of state and other officials are representatives of the people. They must govern according to the Constitution that limits the government's power over its citizens. In a constitutional republic, executive, legislative, and judicial powers are separated into 3 distinctive branches. Number 1, the legislative branch, or Congress, writes the laws of the land. Number 2, the executive branch, led by the president, is responsible for enforcing the laws of the land. And number 3, the judicial branch, headed by the Supreme Court, determines if these laws violate the Constitution. No single individual is allowed to exercise executive, legislative, and judicial powers. These powers are separated to check and balance each other so that no person or group can rise to absolute power. Constitutional republics seek to protect against tyranny. So when I see our president direct officials in his branch not to enforce laws that he doesn't like, or when I read that Congress passes laws that it doesn't understand, or when I hear that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court says that a law is unconstitutional as intended, but okay if it were changed, I say that our constitutional republic has drifted off course. When a law is passed, implemented, and enforced that clearly violates basic constitutional rights, I say that the government has reached the tyrannical tipping point. Where is the small, balanced, and limited government that propelled the USA to dramatic success in a relatively short time? The current road we are on is leading to disaster for USA citizens, private businesses, and our constitutional republic. Now for the banned fastener. The National Health Service in Manchester, England, has issued a ban on metal paper fasteners, those brass-colored two-prong fasteners with a round head that are usually used to fasten medical papers onto manila folders. The government-run NHS in England said that these products were too dangerous and that they must be disposed of immediately. According to a local report, one staff member said, "I can only assume that the top brass thinks that they've employed idiots who need nannying throughout the working day." Now, isn't that just what a nanny state does for its citizens? This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International bringing you the Fastener News Report. Remember to send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
Got a fastener problem you're wrestling with? Never fear. Solution Man Don Shan's up next. It's Fully Threaded.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2012 Beacon Fasteners have arrived to redefine the notion of superior engineering. See one and behold the ultimate synthesis of form and function, style and substance. Hear one as the head turns with inexorable force. Touch one and feel the fire-forged steel standing in stark contrast to the sleek and graceful lines of the body. But to drive one, to drive a 2012 Beacon Fastener is to experience a harmony of power and performance that surpasses all expectations. At any speed, at any torque, each 2012 Beacon Fastener model offers a level of handling unparalleled in its class, a feat made possible by the knowledge acquired through rigorous and systematic test driving, conducted at our own industry-renowned proving grounds, nestled in the heartland of America. And with the 2012 model year, we proudly introduce the newest high-performance addition to our lineup, the Machine Screw Series. Call toll-free at 800-669-2658 for your own private consultation with a Beacon representative and learn a whole new definition of performance. The 2012 Beacon Fasteners have arrived. Drive one today.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stelfast. Since 1976, Stelfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stelfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stelfast today through our website at www.stelfast.com and put us to work for you. Stelfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
Real cap screw gangster never runs his mouth, cause real cap screw gangsters don't start fights. Posers always flashing a big blanket, showing all his boys how he locked them. Real cap screw gangsters don't flex nuts, cause real cap screw gangsters know they got them. And everything's cool in the mind of a gangster, cause cap screw gangsters think deep. Up 365 a year, 24/7. Real cap screw gangsters don't sleep. And And all I gotta say to you wanna be, gonna be cap, screw, hustle, and pranksters. When the biz slows down, what the heck you gonna do? Dang, it feels good to be a gangster. Making jobs and helping folks pay their bills. Although I was born in a middle-class home, now I'm at the top making deals. Dang, it feels good to be a cap screw gangster. I'm the one that you don't really know. Riding around town in a drop-top Benz, hitting peeps in the 224. Now cap screw gangsters come in all shapes and colors. Some went broke in the past. This cap screw gangster is a smart one. Started changing with the time, so I last. And all I gotta say to you, wanna be, gonna be, cap, screw, hustle, and pranksters. When the orders slow down, what the heck you gonna do? Dang, it feels good to be a gangster. Oh yeah. That's right, Popluski. What you gonna do? TS. What you gonna do? You know what you gonna do. Cause you a gangster.
This is Ryan at Metric Specialties at www.metricspecialties.com, and you are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
We speak to a wide variety of fastener companies on Fully Threaded, and it seems like sometimes we have no trouble identifying problem areas or open questions related to the fastener world. Joining us now is a guy who might be able to tackle some of these for us. From Solution Industries, we're going to now welcome Don Solution Man Shan. Hey, Don.
Eric, hi. Brian, hi.
Hi, mate. How are you?
It's the old infamous number 49 Fully Threaded Radio already.
Can you believe it?
It's not infamous yet.
Yeah. It has grown very fast, so 49 came really quick.
Well, we're having a good time doing it, and it really has crept up on us. And I guess you've been in business now 10 years with your partner, John Riddell, and I bet you have a little bit of that same feeling occasionally. Solution Industries, you guys operate out of Middleburg Heights, Ohio, and sounds like you're doing pretty good.
We have. Sometimes you're in the middle of the storm, and it's hard to realize that it's already been 10 years. We some days wake up, seems like it's been only the first year, if you can imagine that. I would like to touch base a little bit on our background.
Please do.
We started in Northeast Ohio here selling OEMs for the longest time, 20 plus years. So it gives us a unique approach to the needs to the fastener distributor, because we were that distributor for so many years. So we understand the needs. And the needs have changed over the course of time. It's not like it was maybe 20 years ago. We try to fill the gap on some of the hard-to-find sizes of fasteners or any secondary process work that's attributed to the distributor. So the distributors basically come to us with ideas and thoughts on how we can better help serve them, which in the Northeast Ohio area, it's a perfect fit because of the costs of the platings in this part of the country are much cheaper than they would be in a lot of different areas. It helps us with the ability to take a plated product and actually do secondary process work on it, such as a patch or a pellet that customers can relate to and buy that part complete, and thus eliminating some of the secondary processes as far as cutting different purchase orders, different freight charges, things of that nature. So our growth has worked very well in that area.
Right. Now, recently the traveling salesman wrote about you guys on his blog. He had an entry in there from, I think it was the middle of June or so. That's out at www.fastenerblog.net. And the post was about your origins, and he actually likened it to the Seinfeld show a little bit, how they were pitching their show to NBC in the early days. It was a show about nothing, and he said, kind of, you guys were a company about nothing. What's all that? Fill in the blanks for us there a little bit, Don.
Yeah, the traveling salesman is a little bit of a superhero in himself. So without telling who he really is, we do have that conversation all the time. He's a nice person. He has a very creative mind. So sitting around talking to him, we always have the same. We don't have a product line. We really have a company that's done about nothing. So we get the biggest kick out. They're both Seinfeld fans. So we really, when we started this company, we really had no product line. And as it grew, we developed, example being zinc-plated socket products, zinc yellow, zinc black. We're probably the largest supplier of that specific type of product in the country as far as inventory depth is concerned. So when we started, we had nothing. We like to think that we really don't have anything now, but the ability to talk to distributors and fill a gap or a solution, no pun intended, to what these guys may need. So we're very open-minded, and we're a very thinking out of the box type of a company.
So that Northeast Ohio then has got a bit of a concentration of these super people. We've got, this, you've just likened the traveling salesman to Superman. Now we've got the solution man.
Well, let's not go that far. I wouldn't say he's Superman. He's more on the shorter Superman side.
No, we prefer to regard him as someone who hides behind trees. Okay, yeah, you never trust talking in secret, whispering around potted palms. You never know where the traveling salesman is going to turn up.
I'll tell you a nice little small story with the traveling salesman. I've done more than a few road trips with him, and there was one road trip as we're going through the an outskirts of Cleveland, and he gets caught and pulled over at 7 o'clock in the morning, given a speeding ticket. And it was so fun to watch the traveling salesman talk his way out of it. And when the policeman came up, the traveling salesman just started going, "Do you know what I am? All I am is a traveling salesman. I'm working really hard." It was almost really comical. But the guy didn't give him a break. He told him just to go on his way because that's what he was, just a traveling salesman.
That doesn't work with me, okay? Well, if you have a red sports car, you're immediately written off.
Right. The guy with an Australian accent and a Lotus. I don't think you got much chance, Bray.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, I've got one really important question here. So, now, we all know that Peter Parker got bitten by a radioactive spider, and that made him into Spider-Man. So what happened to create the Solution Man?
Actually, it was a friend of John's that my partner John Riddell's friend through church. John was a Superman comic book collector. In fact, he had some of the original, top 10 or the first 10 that ever were printed. And
wow,
he kind of screwed around with just drawing, and this guy was a real good artist. And out of the blue one day, we just thought of Solution Man, and he drew something up, and it kind of evolved from there. And the original ones that we have are really unique, and if you come to our office, we have some hanging up all over the place, and we have some magnets that we put out, original magnets that we found as good pieces of advertisement as you go to all these different companies. And I think we have like 6 magnets out now, and the original one is just like one of the original drawings of Solution Man, which they're really unique. It's been a really good marketing.
Wow, it's cool.
It really has worked well. With some of the things that we do, a lot of people, if you go to some of these shows, we've gone to a lot of these regional shows now, and a lot of our customers will walk by not really knowing what we do, but they've seen that character before, and it's been a very good conversation piece. And let's face it, we're all here to have fun, and if you can't have fun in our company, then it's really a laid back atmosphere that we like to laugh a little bit at, and if we don't, we try not to take ourselves too seriously. We're selling bolts and nuts. We're not going to market.
Well, bolts and nuts still held curiosity together, okay, and still do.
Yeah, Brian, I don't see somebody watching us late in the morning looking at us to land anywhere.
Your time will come, mate.
Yeah.
Well, now, at the Vegas show last year, I took a picture of you standing in front of your booth, and there was Solution Man, but off to the right then, there was Solution Lady. Now, how does that work into it?
We've had some requests. We have some little pins that we give away, and that we put her up there almost kind of like a Batman, Batgirl type of thing.
Right.
But we've had some requests to do a pin for Solution Girl, but it's a heavily dominated male business, which the only female we have here is Laura, and she keeps on pushing that Solution Girl figure. So we have to appease her, otherwise she'll really make life miserable for us in here.
I was wondering if that was to placate the Wi-Fi ladies, or
no,
more
that was
for
way
like the
before Wi-Fi.
Well, or for more like the Snap-on calendar boys.
Yeah, there you go. Rigid tool calendar. There you go.
Thank you.
Well, I think Brian and I can definitely relate to the whole company about nothing idea.
Right. This is I picked that up and instantly on the blog.
Right. Because we've been in business together for about 15 years now, and of course that far predates our involvement with the fastener industry. But I guess that's a story probably for another episode. Well, so we've talked a little bit about how you got started and the origins of Solution Industries, but what about going forward, Don? What are you guys looking at going forward?
Well, moving forward, we have added the ability to do any screw machine specials. We have, part of our core group was some of the drilled head products that we do, and we have some innovative machinery that do cross drills, 3-hole drills, core drills, in an automated process that drives our cost down, that will allow us to do some drilling that will add on to some of our growth. We've added some more equipment there to tackle some of the larger volume drill jobs. We also brought in a full line of grade 8 tap bolts, starting a 1/4 inch diameter through 1 inch diameter and ranging through 10 inch long. That is a really good fit. It's a product line that we can actually call a product line of ours that is competitive, probably the most competitive number in the country as far as costs are concerned. So we're able to move forward with them types of things that we think that will be some real benefits. We also think that the secondary process work is where our real growth opportunities are. And as our customers come to us asking us for different products and different exotics as far as platings are concerned, the Magnis of the world, the GM specs, the things of that nature, any mechanical gals or mechanical platings of the world. So we're seeing a little bit more exotics. And I really see at one point, some major importers maybe reaching out to use our services to help coordinate efforts with them in chasing some of this distributor business. Most of their growth should be in some volume turns. I mean, they bring in volume fasteners, and they need to competitive price, and they need to move that inventory without actually touching it. So, example being, I had a mentor one time tell me, touch it once, I make money, and touch it twice, I lose money. So when they bring this inventory in, they put it in on the shelf, they move it. When they touch it that second time, they better be moving it out the door to sell it. And I really did think that at one point they will come to us with an idea, with the innovative thinker, where he's going to come to us with an idea to market that industry as a secondary process, working directly with some of the larger importers. So we think that the growth opportunities are substantial in them specific areas. And we add some of the big players all the time. Some of these big players have a hard time handling material or secondary process material to the point of they have to send things out to be plated, patched. They have to cut multiple purchase orders. If you got a purchase order today, you got to figure it's $75 to $100, not counting freight to the plater, not counting different plating charges in different parts of the country. The processing people, the patch people of the world have different different pricing. And what we've been able to do is work out some very good deals as our volumes have increased, that we're able to extend them different product lines at very good competitive prices, and it's a win-win for both areas. So the growth, I think, and I see the growth every day. I think the importers are going to help us and move us into an even bigger dimension.
Yeah, Brian's sitting there right now thinking to himself, geez, I'm glad all I have to do is write like 10,000 lines of code every time someone asks for a minor change.
Right. Yeah.
Makes it sound pretty easy, huh, Brian? In comparison.
Yeah. Actually, I've got to go back to the early days. You were talking about tap bolts. In the very early days of FCH, one of the companies sent us tap bolts, and I was asking, now, do you want them listed twice? Because there's a lot of the people who, not necessarily in the industry, but using fasteners, who have no idea what a tap bolt is, okay? And they'll be trying to buy fully threaded machine bolts or fully threaded cap screws, particularly machine bolts, and know that that really is a tap bolt. And it's still the case, actually, that people will be looking for fully threaded machine bolts and completely miss out tap bolts and searching FCH.
Yeah, and I think we've had this discussion. One of our people here have had that discussion with you guys too about maybe the ability to chase the same product in two different forms.
Right.
That's a perfect example. A full threaded hex cap could be a tap bolt in a lot of instances.
Yeah. Yep.
We've had some ideas and theories on creating or trying to find A players in this industry as opposed to the B's and C's of the world. And if you look at our industry as a whole and look at all the guys that are at top, are successful, if you dissect them companies and you try to figure out, which we try to do this all the time, we are always constantly trying to get better. And if you look at the companies that are very successful, they have all good people and all the right people in the right spots and people that are really drinking the Kool-Aid and understanding and buying into programs. And if you dissect that theory in any business, from sports all the way through to whatever you may enjoy doing, the good people that have the passion for what they do and can have some creative minds are really going to lift companies to different levels as you move forward. And we think, or at least we try to develop and give people more opportunity to grow in our company, and we see some solid things. We've been growing every year, and we sometimes it's more challenging to keep pushing the ball uphill, but we seem to be doing that pretty well, and our people are in place to really strive this company forward in the next 5-6 years.
So I'm inferring from that comment that you do have a good group of creative people on board, and that you think of attracting those types of individuals as one of the challenges in the fastener industry. Is that what you're say're Don?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. All the people at the top, and you always have. Example, Eric, is when you were at the Distributor Social in Cleveland here, and you saw the frustrations of all the manufacturing sectors here, and every one of them along the line had the same comment. The ideas are there, and the models there. Bringing offshoring here, they don't have the capacity, nor do they have the people to run them. And that's the key in anything you do moving forward. Every time we have a group of a management group here that we sit down and talk things through. And every time we come up with an idea, a new product group or a new idea or a new thought, it always circles around to, okay, where are we going to get the right people to do this? Or, the ideas could be there, but without the right personnel, you have a problem executing it. So it's a frustration in every aspect of the country, really. And it certainly is a frustration in this industry. You have to have a unique mind, and it's not an industry you could adapt to real well. It takes you a while to learn it. I'm still learning it. I've been doing it, 30 years.
Wow, now I'm really confused because, up until a couple of weeks ago, I thought that it was really smart and deep thinking and creative people that were giving rise to these industries. But then I listened to Mr. Obama tell me that none of us actually did that ourselves. The government did it all for us.
Yeah.
So now, which branch of the government gave you your company?
Yeah. Exactly right.
Well, you guys are starting to use technology, Don, as sort of a multiplier, and I saw that on your website. I guess it's been recently enhanced. You've got the live chat facility available to your users. Now, I'm wondering how that's working. Incidentally, your site's available to anybody out there at www.solutionind.com. It's solutionind.com. You getting some takers on that live chat capability?
We really have. Our IT guy here, Steve, has done a fabulous job with that website. We've really kind of just opened it up here within the last couple of weeks. We did have no idea if that live chat, we're going to probably had half a dozen to a dozen chats on it, and it's interesting. It's fun right now because it's a live chat. It's a new toy. I don't know that if it went crazy, if it would be fun anymore. But we have had half a dozen people try it, and right now it's just another avenue of communicating. I mean, the website is, and I encourage anybody to go on there and flip through the pages and learn a little bit about what we do and how we did it and where we're going. And anybody everybody should have ample opportunity to buy various different products from us. So it's hopefully a good commercial website for us moving forward.
Well, how does that actually work when a call comes in? Who is responsible for fielding those calls?
Well, right now, Steve has it in his office, and if somebody clicks on that, it's almost like a phone ringing, a rather large phone ringing, and the question will come up there. Do you carry socket caps? And then he'll just type in the answer, and it's almost like a chat line back and forth, if you will. And it's worked out fairly well. We've gotten everyone has been an inquiry. Maybe people didn't want to fax it in or email it in, or they saw that live chat button and they had something on their desk that needed attention right there, so they just punched it right in, and it's worked out kind of cool. It's just a little different, but we'll see how it works moving forward. We tried doing a couple different areas with different websites, as a quote.com or a solutionquote.com to see if any of that stuff might work, and it just never. A lot of ideas don't work along the way. We keep on throwing them out there.
Sound familiar, Brian?
Yeah, right. You have to keep trying new things. I mean, but that's the whole idea of creation and experimentation together. Because we've actually thought of this thing too. The problem for us is that we would basically have to work out how to direct these things to the people who do know how to answer them.
Right.
Because a lot of them are mainly people who, when they realize they're stuck, they pick the phone up and call us, and they're always trying to find some sort of fastener, and they don't really know how to search correctly. This is not necessarily people in the fastener industry, that they're people who are OEMs generally.
Right.
But for all the people who are FCH members, these people represent a market. They're trying to buy something, and so we've thought of this. It's actually for quite a long time. So I'm interested to know how it really works.
It has worked, and like I say, it's only been a couple of weeks now. But we're striving away. We don't want the gentleman that's fixing his lawnmower down the street to go to the live chat and looking for a left-hand threaded one-piece part. We're looking for that distributor that has a little bit of a problem, looking for a hard to finder, or has a question on something that might be on that website. With what you guys are doing, if you're seeing any of that input, I mean, we should talk about maybe finding some kind of area we could team up to look at them opportunities in the future. I'd be open to doing that too.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and that's one of the reasons I was curious about how these things were routed, because that's the magic. There's no problem for us generating all these questions. It's just we're not able to answer them all the time. So, well, there's more food for thought. Well, getting back to creative ways of using your site and running your business, what other types of creative things are happening right now? Do you have any promotions going or anything like that people should be aware of?
Yeah, we do. We do have one because of a lot in this industry. There's a lot of chicken and the egg theory, where here you give me some great pricing and I'll show you some volume, and the other guy saying I'll show you some volume and give me some great pricing. I mean, it's tit for tat along the way. But what we've been able to do by creating some of the volumes we have is gotten our freight rate down to a point where we're getting some very attractive pallet rates to a lot of different portions of the country. So we're offering some very aggressive free freight programs that will cover probably 60% of the country. So if you're looking for something that freight is an issue, and it always is in this industry, we can provide free freight, which will be included in your end price. So now you have all your secondary process needs covered, as well as free freight. You're getting a price from us complete to your door. And in our industry, it's unprecedented. There are a lot of people that can do it at different levels. Insert maybe $1,000 order, which is nothing to get to in this industry, will get you free freight to your door. And we think that is going to be a good add-on for what we do in selling our product. Our product's not the easiest to sell because you have to actually sell something. You don't just have a price to sell. You have to sell a service a little bit along with the price. And with this free freight program, we think that we should be able to generate some good, solid customers with good, solid orders moving forward, so they get the free freight. We do have reps across the country that are helping in specific areas too, and they're growing with us and learning how to sell us as a company, not so much as a product group, because we are a company based on nothing.
Well, building on the live chat idea even further, it sounds like the opportunity to have a good live chat with you guys. So back at the website solutionin.com, you can plug into that live chat, ask about the free freight, and see if your idea qualifies for that. And it sounds like, in all likelihood, it will.
Yes.
Hey, we were talking about your booth at Vegas last year, and I bet you guys are going to be there again this year. What do you have lined up for Vegas 2012, Don?
We do. We've moved location. Last year was our first year there, so we didn't have the most ideal location in the world, but we are in booth number 932 this year, which is more of the middle of the show, which is it's going to be a better opportunity for us for maybe mingling and being more close to the middle of the show. We're also giving away a new collector's item, Solution Man souvenir glass, which the rumors of a beer crawl or people having beer there to pass out. If you stop by our booth, drop a business card in, we'll give you a free glass, and you could forward this on for your favorite beverages anywhere along the show as far as that matter is concerned.
That is ideal, and I think you're totally dialed in, and I'm surprised that you haven't caught on yet to the Old Rusty Bolt, because as far as I'm hearing, it is more than a rumor.
Old Rusty Bolt has a beer. We have a Solution Man Stout that we actually brewed with Old Rusty Bolt. So
wow, I love stout.
I don't know if you'd call it stout if you drank it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mind you, I can't do things like that because I've been stuck behind the booth all 24 hours a day. And incidentally, I would like to point out that even though you weren't necessarily in a perfectly ideal place last year, you were only 4 booths away from us, okay?
Yeah, well, you didn't have the ideal position either.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you have a really good manufacturer of fridge magnets, we'd like to know the person, because we had fridge magnets made, but they didn't really stick on fridges, unfortunately.
Wow. Well, I can give you that information.
Thank you.
You truly are Solution Man, Don.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
What would we do without you?
Yeah, landing on the Mars.
Right. Surprised you're not over in JPL.
Actually listened to a couple of your episodes when you had a lot of good guests on, but I'd be remiss not to mention my friend Ricky Finna, who was on there before, and you guys seem to have a good conversation with him over the hour or so you talked to him, and there's a character, is one of the good people in the industry.
Yeah, you caught that one, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, they were in the booth opposite us, and we got talking to him and realized this was a guy who we had to interview. He was like me. He was like much more interested in talking about cars than about nuts and bolts and things, and we like that. Okay.
Well, I hope you didn't ask him about his beloved Ohio State, because you'd have never got off the phone.
Yeah, I think he gave us some info about that.
Yeah, you Ohio guys are rabid about your sports teams, that's for sure. I've been learning that as I've been spending more time out there. And hope to get out there again real soon and talk to you. And in the meantime, we sure do appreciate you joining us for Fully Threaded Radio, Don. We appreciate you listening to the show, and look forward to seeing you out there in Vegas. But once again, people who want to talk with Don further, or his partner John, can do so at their website, www.solutionind.com.
Good deal. Thanks for everything, guys.
Okay, mate. We'll see you in Vegas, okay?
You got it.
We're grateful to have you with us, folks, as we build to another exciting conclusion of another episode of Fully Threaded Radio.
FastenersClearinghouse.com. Search and source from over 500,000 line items, all just a mouse click away and available at no charge. When the need arises, you won't find a better place to locate hard-to-find fastener inventory. It's where you need to be.
This is Joe Truckee of Cal Fasteners, and Fasteners Clearinghouse works for us.
This is Robert Wanzer, and Fasteners Clearinghouse works for American Imperial.
This is Andy Pell from ScrewCrew.com, and FCH works for the fastener industry.
Join the sourcing network now and show your inventory to a whole new market. Turn slow movers into cash. List up to 10,000 line items. Show them to distributors only or to the world. FastenersClearinghouse.com. It's where you need to be.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting fastenal.com today.
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for the Injured Marine Semper Fi Fund, www.semperfifund.org. Over the past 7 years, twice a year, the wonderful people who operate the Semper Fi Fund and many amazing Marines who have been the beneficiaries of the charities that have supported the Semper Fi Fund, including many thousands of individual donors, have come into my radio studio to tell their amazing stories of serving their country, of being wounded, and how the Semper Fi Fund has helped them make that transition back to recovery. Unfortunately, Bethesda and Walter Reed are full again. More and more men and women are coming back from the war injured, sometimes awfully so. We need the Semper Fi Fund to be there for these Marines and those soldiers, sailors, and airmen who served alongside of them. Please consider a gift to the Semper Fi Fund. Very low overhead, extraordinary capacity to get money where it needs to get in a hurry, and great management, including some of the senior Marines who've ever served under the flag. When you're looking for something to do that will make an impact, please check out the Semper Fi Fund. That's www.semperfifund.org, www.semperfifund.org.
Brian and Eric, your online Fastener Talk Radio brothers in thread. Fully Threaded Radio.
Hey guys, this is the one and only Rebecca Day of Exact Industries, and you're listening to my online Fasting Soul brothers, Brian and Eric, on Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, your online fastener community organizers, back with you. Well, it was great to have Don Shan of Solution Industries with us today, Brian, to hear a little bit more about his company. And actually, it is a company about nothing in a way. I'd definitely say it was show-worthy.
Right. And you never know. You might actually find Don, maybe he's going to wear his Solution Man in outfit at the Vegas show.
Well, if you looked at that picture that was taken of him in the booth, and of course he was standing there next to Jackie Ventura, next to the Fastener lady painting, I guess it was, he looked a little excited about the prospect, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
Right.
If nothing else, make sure to stop by the Solution Industries booth, folks, out in Vegas, because, hey, those beer glasses sound like they're a pretty good freebie.
Right, and he has very good magnets, too, because they actually stick on fridges.
Well, I had a chance to visit their facility back in May when I was out there for the North Coast Distributor Social, and let me tell you, what they've built has come through their own hard work and their great ideas. I don't care what any lifelong political parasite says about it. Those guys built it, and they should be proud.
They didn't build that.
You hear what I just said?
Oh, sorry. I wasn't listening.
Hey, in case you missed it, folks, the FDI for July was 45.1, and that was versus 51.6 in June, so it's been a little bit of a drop. If you didn't hear it, you can go back and listen to Holden Lewis on the Fastener News Report if you're interested. He explains the number with Mike McNulty. And if your company is still not participating in the FDI monthly survey, please get out to the website and request a login ID. The website for that is www.fdisurvey.com.
Yes, in fact, if you think that that number does not represent what you see in the industry, make sure you do that, okay? The number becomes more and more correct as the coverage gets bigger and bigger. So while this is what Holden predicted and said was correct, I mean, not everyone sees the same part of the industry.
Oh yeah, you always want as big of a survey sample set as you possibly can get, and we've had strong participation, but hey, it's a big industry, so hop on with the FDI, folks.
Actually, the interesting thing is, as far as Fasteners Clearinghouse is concerned, we see an increase in activity, even though the index has dropped. So we're scratching our heads, okay?
I actually had a conversation with Holden about that, and he said that we somewhat represent what he called a counter-cyclical business model. And I told him, wow, man, that sounds like something right out of a Doctor Who episode.
So we're part of the counterculture. Many people would have said that for a while, actually.
Yeah, well, that's going to tie into what we're going to talk about to close things up. But before we do that, let's thank today's guests for sharing their insights and wisdom with us today. And they were Don Shan of Solution Industries, Jay Queenin, President of Specialty Bolt and Screw, and also the NFDA. And, of course, Fastener Technology International Editor, Mr. Mike McNulty. Mike was joined today on the Fastener News Report by BB&T Capital Market Analyst Holden Lewis. Great job, all you guys.
Yep.
Also, thanks to J.R. Prowl of JHP Fasteners for his contribution today, which played during our second break. It was the hip-hoppy Fastener anthem, Cap Screw Gangsta.
Gangster JR. Well, I'm not quite sure they would recognize him, okay, but we'll see.
I was kind of surprised when that one came in, but it was kind of fun.
The gangster rap expert of the fastener industry.
The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stelfast. For service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stelfast. And Beacon Fasteners and Components. Beacon Fasteners. Nice threads. We were also glad to have the support of Volt Industrial Plastics, Fastenal, and Fastener Technology International Magazine today. Appreciate the support of every one of our sponsors, that's for sure. Hey, get with us anytime, folks, and you can do so at the email address ftr@fullythreaded.com. We're out there on Twitter under the handle Fully Threaded, and there are going to be several Facebook postings today on the Fully Threaded Facebook page. Whole bunch of links that we have for follow-up, and I hope you get out there and absorb some of that, and you can communicate with us that way. So the social media is alive and well, as you know. And say, Bryce, speaking of all that, I wanted to ask you earlier, you were watching the Mars probe landing pretty carefully earlier this week, and did you use the Twitter stream at all to follow that?
Well, I did actually. And the Twitter sphere was all over it. But I also found that basically the whole landing was covered from live from the JPL headquarters. And now for those of you who sort of are completely unaware of any current news, in a great feat of engineering, the United States landed another rover on Mars. And it was extraordinarily technically difficult. After like 80 million miles in 5 months, this vehicle, which weighed about as much as a little Volkswagen Beetle, was landed on Mars about a mile away from the exact place it was aimed at years and years ago.
Wow.
And now for those of you who are interested, the JPL has a beautiful website where you can see the latest pictures being sent back, not only from Curiosity, but also from the Spirit and Opportunity, the ones that went there 10 years ago. So that website is marsrovers.jpl.nasa.gov. Does not have a www in front of it. So it's worth going out to see, because you can see, and in real time, this little vehicle is just basically getting itself ready now. It's moving instruments and things around, sending a few pictures back, and it's going to be there for a fair while now.
It's nuclear powered, right?
Yeah, actually it is. And and see, that's because of the experience with the other two. And to be fair, they had a design life of 5 months. They've been there for 9 years so far, and they're now so covered with dust that they're not really generating enough electricity through their solar panels. However, they've done a great job, and Curiosity is just such an amazing way it landed.
We'll put a link to the JPL out on the Facebook page, and yeah, it's definitely worth some time to see what's going on there. And an amazing engineering feat, an amazing thing that was built by NASA, and it's kind of bittersweet because, gosh, they have torn the guts out of the space agency, and let's hope it's not the dying gasp of our once great space program.
I think JPL has been around for a while. It's extraordinarily successful. It's done some great things. So we'll look forward for, despite any control that comes out of Washington, hopefully the people there can keep doing their marvelous things.
And as long as they do, people will be tweeting about it.
And the Curiosity is tweeting too. And you can follow it by going out to the handle Mars Curiosity.
Okay, so the Twitter account for the actual probe, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's sending us little tweets back, though I have a feeling that they're being helped by a human, okay?
Well, I don't doubt that at all, but hey, look, Siri's kind of a comedian too, and I think somebody pre-programmed a lot of that. But yeah, folks, so if you're out there in the Twitter sphere, check out the handle Mars Curiosity, and those are coming from Mars. Tweets from Mars.
Yeah.
Well, finally today, at the top of the show, we said that there were 2 birthdays we recently commemorated, and the first one was that of Milton Friedman, who would have been 100 years old on July 31st. The second birthday was on August 1st, and that was the day that the legendary Jerry Garcia would have turned 70 years old. He passed away all the way back in 1995, which is a trip in itself. He really wanted to make it to 2012, I could tell you that. It's true, he was and he remains an icon of the counterculture, and he was a great cosmic explorer indeed. But one of the many great things about Jerry Garcia is that, unlike so many of the profoundly uninformed and just plain stupid entertainers out there who spout off about every crackpot political cause, Jerry had the wisdom to let his art speak for itself. He was a keen observer who lived the way he wanted to, which was creatively and gently, and he brought happiness and gave freely during his life. And I think the world would be a lot better place if more people lived like that. So, happy birthday to Jerry. We miss you a lot.
And I know that you do.
Hey, we're going to close out this episode of predominantly Fastener-related talk radio with a few riffs from Jerry and the Boys, circa 1973.
So long, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Hey now, for Brian and Eric, keep building your own legacy. Get out there and sell some screws, and we'll talk to you next time.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fasteners Clearinghouse. Music provided by